Bonjour, salut, hi everybody. I hope you are ready today for another video lesson. Today's notes, as you can see from Yoshi's little speech bubble here, are all about direct object pronouns. Now, just by saying that, you probably don't have any solid idea about what a direct object pronoun is, but believe it or not, in English at least, you use them daily, I guarantee it. In most of your sentences, you're probably using them. In fact, I literally just used one right there. So we're going to learn today what they actually are, how we use them in English, and then how we can incorporate them into French as well. So make sure that you have either your computer ready to type out some of these notes or a piece of paper ready to go, because this is a pretty useful concept to learn in French. So let's get started. All right, so before we dive into direct object pronouns, I thought it would be helpful to explain to you what a direct object actually is, because even though we use them in our everyday speech, you might not really know that you're using them. Okay, so a direct object, as it says here, are the objects that are acted upon directly in a sentence. Wow, super clarifying, right? Not really, but that's kind of the official definition. So here I have a little hint for you, a little handy tool to identify your direct object. You're basically going to ask yourself what or who for each sentence. Okay, so I have 4 examples here. My first sentence, I love my mother. If I were to ask myself what or who to that sentence, I love who? My mother is the answer. Therefore, my mother is the direct object of that sentence. She is the object that is receiving my love. The second example that I have here, we eat cake. We eat what? Cake. So cake is the direct object. The third example, you water your plants. You water what? Your plants. So in this case, your plants, they are the direct object of the sentence. And the last example here, Joe Bob loves me. Joe Bob loves who? Me. So I am actually the direct object of this sentence. So the main takeaway for this is that the direct object is the thing or the person that is receiving the action in the sentence. Okay, now it could be a person, it could be an object, like an actual thing, but no matter what, whatever is receiving the direct action of that sentence is called the direct object, and you can easily identify what they are by simply asking yourself what or who for each sentence. So that's how you tell what a direct object is. Now, what about a direct object pronoun? Let's get into that next. Now, a direct object pronoun replaces the what or the who in a sentence. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, why would I need to do that? What's the point? Who really cares? Well, as it says here, they really help to make sentences less repetitive and more fluid. So I've got an example here just to sort of show you what I mean by they make sentences more fluid and less repetitive. So my first sentence here does not have a direct object pronoun in it. I eat the sandwich and the sandwich is very tasty. Kind of sounds weird, sort of awkward, but if I were to replace one of these direct objects, okay, and put in it instead a direct object pronoun, the sentence sounds a lot more fluid. And that turns into this guy right here. I eat the sandwich and it is very tasty. Okay, so it's that subtle difference that really helps the sentence sound a lot more natural and definitely a lot less repetitive. So you're not just repeating that same direct object again and again and again in that sentence. So in English, some of the most common direct object pronouns are it. So like that example that I had before, I eat the sandwich would change to I eat it. Them, I water my plants, I could easily say I water them. Him, I like Frank, I like him. And her, I like Susie, would change to I like her. All right, so now that we know all about our direct object pronouns in English, let's switch over to French. So you'll be happy to know that direct object pronouns basically work the same way in English as they do in French. The purpose is still the same, to replace your direct objects and make your sentences a little shorter and less repetitive, but obviously there are some exceptions. One being that the direct object pronouns in French are different from the ones we use in English, and also the placement of the direct object pronouns. First, let's just tackle the actual pronouns themselves. Don't worry too much about the placement. We'll talk about that after. So the first direct object pronoun that we have is me, and in English, it means me. So if I wanted to say he likes me in French, it would become il m'aime. So as you can see here, I've got my M apostrophe. That is the direct object pronoun me right there. That tells us that it's me that he likes. But again, we'll talk about the placement. Just know for now that usually the pronouns come before our verb in the sentence, okay? So the next one here is te, which means you. If I wanted to say she likes you in French, it would be elle t'aime. My direct object pronoun right there. Te is right there because my verb starts with a vowel. That's why I've combined them. The next one, as you can see here, I've highlighted le and la. I've also highlighted les down there. The reason I've highlighted these guys is simply because we're going to be focusing on those a little bit more in our activities in this course. That's not to say that me, te, nous, and vous are not important, but le, la, and les are used pretty frequently in the activities that we do. So le and la, they're pretty flexible pronouns because they could be referring to an it, so an object, or it could be referring to a person, either him or her. Okay, so for example, if I wanted to say she wears it in French, it would be elle le porte, or it would be elle la porte. Obviously, depending if the direct object, the thing we're talking about, is masculine, or if it's feminine. Okay. So just like I said, how le and la can be referring to an object, an it, either le or la, it could be also referring to a person. So if I wanted to say that she hates him, okay, I should have that bolded. There we go. Then it would become elle le déteste. Okay. The him has been replaced, obviously, in French by the le to mean him, and it's masculine, so that's why we chose le. And I put it right there in front of my verb. Again, we'll talk about the placement in just a second. Okay, so the one key thing to know about this, le and la, is that it can mean either it, him, or her, depending on whether the object or person is masculine or feminine. The next two direct object pronouns we have are nous and vous. We've seen these before as subjects, and they are also direct object pronouns. Okay, so nous, as you know already, means us, and vous, as you already know again, means you. So they work the same way as the other pronouns. My mom loves us. That would become ma mère nous adore. My dog likes you. It would become mon chien vous adore. And then the last one here, once again, highlighted les, and that means them. So if I wanted to say that she has them, I could be referring to earrings, I could be referring to cats, I could be referring to apples. It doesn't matter, but it's them. It would be elle les a. Okay? So these are, like I said, the most important direct object pronouns that we're going to be dealing with, le, la, and les, but definitely make sure that you at least have in the back of your mind me, te, nous, and vous. Okay, so now that we know what the different direct object pronouns are in French, like I told you or kind of alluded to before, the placement of them in French is definitely different from how we would place them in English. So let's learn about that right now. So direct object pronouns are placed in different spots in the sentence depending on how many verbs or actions are present in that sentence. So I've broken it down here for you into the three possible sort of verb sentences. If I have a one verb sentence, then the direct object pronoun is going to go in front of that one verb. Okay, so my example here, j'adore mon chien. Adore To love, that's my verb. So I've bolded it here for you just to show that. Now, I love what? Mon chien. So mon chien is my direct object. And because I'm talking about one person or one thing, then I know it's going to be le or la, depending on if it's feminine. And then here, as you can see, because I have just one verb, I'm putting that le in front of the verb to become je l'adore, which means I love him, essentially. Okay, the next one, if I've got a two-verb sentence, so I've got two verbs right next to each other in the sentence, then my direct object pronoun will go in front of the second verb. So if I'm trying to say, j'aime manger le gâteau, I like to eat cake, and instead of saying I like to eat cake, I'm trying to say I like to eat it, then I know that le gâteau is the direct object. I will replace that with le because it's masculine. And because I have two verbs, aime and manger, my direct object pronoun le is going to go smack dab in the middle here, right in front of manger, my second verb. And then the last situation is with the passé composé. Now, technically with the passé composé, you've got two verbs, right? You've got your auxiliary verb and you've got your past participle. Oops, spelling mistake. There we go. However, we don't want to split up the auxiliary verb and the past participle. Okay, we want to keep them together so that we know it's a passé composé sentence just by quickly looking at those two verbs together. So what we're going to do instead, if you come across a sentence like this, is you'll put the direct object pronoun in front of the auxiliary verb, whether it's avoir or être. Okay, so I have here my example, j'ai mangé la pomme. So I ate the apple, and instead of that, I want to say I ate it. So I know that la pomme, that is my direct object. It would be replaced with la because it's feminine. Okay, and here I've got my auxiliary and my past participle. So all together, that la would go right in front of the auxiliary, the a component right here, to become je l'ai mangé, which means I ate it. Okay, so make sure that you make note of these three sort of situations for where you place your direct object pronouns, because you don't want to get them mixed up because that could completely change what you're trying to say unintentionally. Okay, so the last little bit is just with the negative. So sometimes you might come across negative sentences with direct object pronouns, and it's important to know where you put that ne pas. And in this case here, just like it says in the box, the ne pas is going to surround your direct object pronoun and your verb. So it kind of sandwiches them all together. So my three examples that I have, tu ne le manges pas. You do not eat it, is essentially what that says. I have my direct object pronoun le, and I have my verb mange, and they are sandwiched together with the ne and the pas. The next one, je ne l'écoute pas. Same thing, sandwiched together with the ne pas, and nous ne les regardons pas. Sandwiched together with ne and pas. So the ne pas is always going to surround both the direct object pronoun and the verb. Okay, so now that we know all about direct object pronouns in French, let's do a little bit of practice before I assign the learning guide page that goes along with this. So as you can see here, I've got 4 sentences. Each of them have a direct object in them that we are going to replace with a direct object pronoun, and we're going to put that pronoun in the right location in the sentence. So if I were you, I would copy these guys down somewhere, whether they're on a piece of paper, just a scrap piece of paper, or if you're typing them after your notes, you do you. I also have up here the 3 sort of main steps that you should use in each of these questions to make sure that you are choosing the right direct object pronoun and also putting it in the right place. And then over here, I also have a handy chart of the different direct object pronouns in French with these 3, le, la, and les, highlighted because, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, those are the ones that we're going to be using in this activity and several other activities going forward in this course. So I'm going to recommend that you pause the video, copy these questions down and try them on your own. And then when you're ready, you think you've got the right answers, play the video, and then I will walk through each of the questions with you. Okay, pause it. Okay, so here is how to complete these questions. So our first one, Tu aimes mon chat. We're going to just follow these 3 steps here together. The first step, ask yourself who or what to find our direct object. So, tu aimes mon chat. That means you like my cat. You like what? My cat. Mon chat. So that is our direct object. Okay? That's what we're going to be replacing in this question. Now, mon chat, is that a me? Is that a you? Is it an it, a him, or a her? Yeah, it's this one here. It could be replaced with le in this case because it's masculine. So I'm going to change that to tu aimes le. So you like it or him. And now the third step rather up here, decide where you put the pronoun. So how many verbs are in our sentence? How many actions do you see here? I see just one, aim, to like. So I'm going to replace the le right here to le aim. And because, it's even highlighted it there for me, because le ends with an E, a vowel, and aim starts with an A, also a vowel, we're going to combine them to become tu l'aimes. So tu l'aimes means you like my cat, essentially. Okay? Number 2, je déteste manger la salade. I hate eating salad. Okay. You hate, or I hate eating what? Salad. So salad is going to be my direct object. What will I replace that with? La salade. It's a feminine singular object. I'm referring to an it. Okay. And again, because it's la salade, feminine, that's the same direct object pronoun that we'll use. So it would become je déteste manger la. Okay, so we've already done steps 1 and 2. Step 3 is decide where we're going to put the pronoun. So let's count how many verbs we have here. Je déteste manger la. I've got hate and I've also got to eat. So I've got 2 verbs. So if I've got 2 verbs, 2 regular verbs, remember they're going to go, or the direct object pronoun will go right between them, in front of our second verb. So it becomes je déteste la manger, which essentially means I hate eating it, it being the salad. Next one here. Elle ne préfère pas les chiennes. That means she does not prefer dogs. What does she not prefer? Dogs. There we go. Okay. Now, what would I replace les chiennes with? It's literally right here on our direct object pronoun chart. Les. Matches up with it perfectly. So it becomes elle ne préfère pas les. So she does not prefer them. Okay, in English, that would make sense, this placement here. But in French, we have to look at how many verbs there are. How many verbs are there? There's just one, préfère. So I'm going to put that les right in front of préfère. And as you can see here, the ne and pas, just like we talked about before, it sandwiches together my direct object pronoun and my verb. Elle ne les préfère pas. She does not prefer them, them meaning dogs. And then our last question here. Bob a adoré les oiseaux. Bob loved birds. Okay, so here we've got the passé composé. So keep that in mind. But let's first go to step 1. Ask yourself who or what to find the direct object. What does Bob or did Bob love? He loved birds. Les oiseaux. Okay. So which direct object pronoun will I use? Again, hint, hint, it's right here in front of our actual object. Les. So there you have it. Bob a adoré les. Okay. So we know the direct object pronoun that we've used. Now we have to decide where we're putting it. And I already told you here, this is the passé composé. Technically, it's 2 verbs, but because we want to keep the auxiliary and the past participle together, we don't want to split them up like we did up here with our 2-verb sentence. We're going to put that les right in front of it all. Bob les a adorés. Bob loved them meaning the birds. Okay, so if you were able to complete this little practice activity and you feel okay, just keep in mind these are the 3 steps. Keep in mind the different direct object pronouns that you have available to you in French. I would love if you could complete page 7 of the Nos Histoires learning guide package. That's learning guide 16 to 20 package, not our music learning guide. Once you complete that page, please submit it onto my blueprint and I'll give you a little bit of feedback. But if you are really struggling with this and you're a little unsure about how to properly place them or which one would I use, don't hesitate to drop me an email or send me a message on Microsoft Teams. This is a really nitpicky kind of grammar concept. So if you don't get it right away, don't feel frustrated. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just let me know and I'd be more than happy to help you out with it. Okay, bonne chance!